5, bro.
He might have.
He might have made my top 5 for New York.
Might have.
Absolutely.
Listen.
I'd be interested to see who you got top 5 and not.
Listen.
I can give it to you. I did the data for it as if I was finna be on it. So a week ago, I got my 5, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Sound like they throwing shade, Carl. They wanted a spot.
Listen, we've been debating this back and forth, man. Paul could give us his picks before he goes. I have no problem listening to Paul's picks.
I got my 5 from a week ago, baby.
I will say this though: you have when that question, when I do that segment, it's going to come down to what do you value? Do you value championships? Do you value popularity? Do you value stats? What the person meant to the city, were they a role model? Like, it's everything. It's not just one specific thing. I think Eli Manning fits that.
I agree. That's why I got Eli in my top 5.
I think
Eli's in my. I'm glad you guys don't object.
I think Eli definitely fits that conversation because he's, he won 2 Super Bowls in the era where people didn't believe that it was even possible. And the teams that he defeated, and he was a staple of fundamental and like just who he was as a person is incredible. You couldn't ask for more.
And Eli, he gets the 2 rings. He gets the 2 Super Bowl rings. Off the field, he's a charitable man. He's helping childhood cancer. He's doing all these stuff. And now from a football perspective, he's top 10 all time in passing yards, passing touchdowns. He's my favorite quarterback of all time. He's the guy I watch the most. I love Eli Manning.
It's hard to believe since you like Daniel Jones, but we gonna see.
No, I'm not. I actually don't even like him that much. I just think that the hate is ridiculous. I just think he's not as bad as everyone thinks he is. I would say let's give it some time. I mean, geez, when Eli was here, they were ready to run him out of town. So I think that we need to pump the brakes a little bit. Not everybody has a start like Pat Mahomes. I don't think Daniel Jones is great. I just think Greg Polius and Paulie Kizzy, which we should expect from the 2 of them now.
We're getting the yours in the live. That means everyone is pulling up exclusively on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Thank you for joining us this wonderful afternoon. Here we are, October 28th, 2020. Let me introduce my panel. Declan, how you doing, sir? I have a bone to pick with you. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and I'll get to it. How you doing?
Pretty good, Carl. Thanks for having me, as always.
We have Paul the Sailor. Paul the Sailor is in the house, man. He's outside in the park enjoying the fall weather. Are you getting ready for Halloween, sir? You going to be trick-or-treating this year?
Hey, I'm sure my daughter will have something in store this Halloween, but, I want to give you guys a different look of greatness. So today, it's the rain jacket matching the trees, baby. You just never know where I'm going to be at.
We have the box office in the building. Box office, how you doing, sir? You did pretty well in the standings, man. I got to reveal your numbers. Very excellent picks last week. I'm impressed.
Had a bounce back week. That's all it was,
I'm really impressed. But before we begin, box office, if you just bear with me, last night we had the conclusion of the World Series. We crowned another champion during the COVID era, the 3rd champion crown. Out of those 3 champions, 2 of them come out of the city of Los Angeles. Shout out to the Dodgers for winning their first championship since 1988. That's 2 championships for the city of LA this year, and also the first time this has happened since 1988, where the Lakers and the Dodgers have won a championship. Declan, you're the resident Yankee fan. How are you sitting here wearing a Dodgers shirt? You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, listen, I'm not going to be ashamed of myself for one of 2 reasons. 2, I don't care what everyone says about what my wardrobe is. I'm going to wear whatever I want. But the reason I'm wearing this is because a Los Angeles Dodgers legendary pitcher that also happens to be a lefty won a World Series last night in Clayton Kershaw. And I'm going to take it up. He's number 22. I'm going to go 10 levels higher. I'm going to go 2. You can't hear, but it's all right. We're rocking a Sandy Koufax jersey today, represent another Dodger legend. Today's about LA, and I think we could best rep LA by cheering from NYC is kind of the way I see it today. So that's why I'm wearing the Dodger jersey. The Yankees didn't play them. The Yankees have no beef, at least since 1947, 57. So, hey, I'm out here repping the LA Dodgers today. Fine by me. It's better than the Astros or the Rays.
Paul the Sailor, what are your thoughts on the controversial Rays, a manager pulling out his starting pitcher so early? What are your thoughts here, potentially blowing the series?
It's an unfortunate thing that analytics has, not just recently, as we seen last night, it's taken the sport into an interesting location. As a guy who's played baseball, you can't go into a game like Game 6 of the World Series, your best player, with the mindset that doesn't matter what the scenario is and what the outcome is going to be. He won't be there for the 3rd time through a lineup. And for that, it doesn't matter how good people think Kevin Cash is as a coach. I'm sure that has changed. Their opinions have changed in the last 24 hours. But for that, I'm here to tell Tampa Bay Rays fans, if they do actually exist, because I know there's not many other than Dickie V, Kevin Cash should not have a job today. The Rays are flooded with talent, have been for the last 2 decades, and will be for the next decade in their farm system. It's unfortunate, but losing franchises always lose. Ask the Clippers, as I said this morning, ask the Tampa Bay Rays.
It's unfortunate. Well, again, congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers on winning their first World Series since 1988. As I said in my opening statement, the Los Angeles Lakers also won. We have Ricardo Etienne is in the building, a resident Laker fan also as well. Let me ask you guys this. So we have 2 teams in professional sports of the city of LA to win a championship. Is there a possibility that a third LA team in football could win the Super Bowl to make it to make it a 3 out of 4 of the major sports to win a Super Bowl this year? Is that a possibility? Box office, you think so? Maybe, or am I reaching?
Chargers, no, that's not happening. Rams got an outside
not
shot.
Not according to CC.
the Rams got an outside shot, man.
Aren't they 5-2? They're 5-2, right?
I believe so, but that division, they're in the toughest division in the NFL. All teams are above 500. All teams got a shot at making the playoffs. At this point in the season, and going through week 8, I would say the Rams are probably the most complete team as far as they have their health. They got some talent on offense and defense. I think on each other team we could find and poke a hole to say maybe they won't make it, but they got an outside shot. I would give them that.
So, Rick, as I said before, we have the Dodgers winning, the Lakers winning. Could a third LA team in football win a championship for the city of LA? Is that possible?
I'm kind of like what I hinted at before. So, apparently CC Sabathia thinks so, since he got Herbert being a multi-Super Bowl winning quarterback. So, in that division, in that conference, it's going to be tough for the Chargers out the gate, specifically this year. So to Travis's point, I don't see that from the Chargers necessarily. The Rams, they do have a shot. This is a team that just played in a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So it's not far-fetched to think that they couldn't possibly make it back. They've got some pieces in play that should allow them to be productive and successful. But as mentioned, they are playing in the toughest division in the entire sport. Not only are they playing in the toughest division in the entire sport, 4 of those 5 wins, if I'm not mistaken, have come from the worst division in all of pro sports. Pretty much. So it's really tough to see exactly where the Rams are as they stand. They have the opportunity. It's going to be in front of them because they are going to be playing against 3 of the better teams throughout the league. So if you're able to get wins against those teams, it'll put you in a position to, get a pretty good ranking and going into the playoffs and whatnot. And, once you get there, you just got to win a couple of games. So, they have a shot for sure. I don't see it from the Chargers anytime soon.
P the Sailor, let me ask you this though, real quick to wrap this up. Wouldn't that motivate a football team to see 2 other teams in your city win a championship and say, you know what, we're going to play the best we can to try to make this a clean, a possible 3 out of 4 for major sports, or no? Am I again reaching here?
No, you're not reaching. But I just want to pump the brakes on not to disrespect the Rams, because I've been high on LA. I think it's a bigger disrespect to the Super Bowl loser of last year who hasn't been healthy, but has suddenly looked super dominant. And I think on Sunday, when they play against Seattle and come out of there with a win against Russell Wilson, people will take the 49ers serious. The expectation out where in LA is the Niners are, excuse my French, the shit. And I got belief that when they are healthy, they will dominate. They do have the best defense in that division. And that's who actually has the shot coming out to make that the Triple Crown in LA. So keep your eyes on the Niners, keep your eyes on Jimmy G, and keep your eyes on whoever it is playing running back who just seems to be an all-pro in that system.
All right. Yeah. Well, you know what? I would say, I guess, a for the state of California, because San Francisco, I guess LA wouldn't want to claim that.
Oh, come on. Now we're
I'm being technical. Come on, I can't be technical. Am I not wrong? Ricardo, back me up here. Florida wins the state. Florida, listen, we're talking Florida, Tampa Bay, Miami, it's not the same thing. So we're not going to say San Francisco and put them with the LA. We're not going to do that, are we?
Same thing, bro.
So hold on, listen. It's funny you mention that, because I was going to say, here's the thing. Before you move on, look, everybody always got jokes for the state of Florida. Y'all already know I'm a Florida resident, so I got to rep my state. As sports fans in general, we got to show the state of Florida some love, because the state of Florida has been running the sports world for the past 6 or 7 months. Think about it. You've got an MLS bubble situation that popped off successfully right here in Orlando, with Orlando City going to the final. You got the NBA bubble go through successfully with the Miami Heat going to the final. Tampa Bay is your Stanley Cup winner. Tampa Bay is your World Series finalist. You've got all of professional sports pretty much calling Florida home right now. Like, we got to give the state of Florida some props for what it's been able to do.
You know what, Rick? I just thought of a
segment
possibly.
No, I'm not here for it.
Listen, Rick. I just thought of a new segment that we may do next week in terms of state territories and the most successful state when it comes to sports. But I'll talk about that later on. Let me give you guys some predictions from last week. You guys did excellent across the board. Rick had 11. Rick had 10. Travis had 11. MVP had 11, and Ray had 10. Rick, you're still in the lead with 57. Travis is trailing at second with 54. Then we have Ray coming in 52, and MVP is still trailing by 50. You guys, honestly, real talk again.
Rick, 50?
Yes. No, you had 50. You had 50. 50. You have 50. Sorry. Listen, sorry. So, listen, I've been saying this to you guys all week.
I am suspect of Carl's marriage.
No. Rick needs to wet the bed. In order for you guys to win this, Rick needs to have a bad week moving forward.
How many he got?
57. He has 57.
Hey, that's only 7 games, baby.
Yeah, that's only 7 games. So, but he has to slow down. He's not slowing down for you guys to catch up. Overall, what were our thoughts here about week 7? Declan, what do you think?
Week 7 in the NFL was pretty interesting. We saw a Rams team dismantle the Bears on Monday Night Football.
A Rams team you didn't believe in.
That's fine. I mean, you can credit the Niners all you want, but I'm not going to forget that I was on an island with the only guy on the panel picking them last week when they shredded the Rams on Sunday Night Football. That's fine. It's California ball anyway. But we saw a shootout on week 7 Sunday Night Football between the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Kyla Murray, Russell Wilson going for tit for tat. Russell Wilson turned the ball over a couple times. Kyla Murray and Chase Edmonds from Fordham, the Fordham kid. Chase Edmonds was balling on these 3rd down runs, 2nd down runs, to run in overtime. He got 15 yards to set up a win. Christian Kirk went off. Tyler Lockett was going nuts in that game. That game was everything you wanted to see on Sunday Night Football, and that was probably the only benefit COVID's had on the year so far.
Box office, what do you think here about week 7?
I mean, it was an excellent weekend of football right there. As Declan mentioned, we had a high-flying game on the Sunday night. Thankfully, it got flexed into that Sunday night position. Tom Brady right there throwing his hat in for the MVP nom right there, putting a beating on them Raiders. I mean, where is Manny at? Come on now, front and center, sir. The Raiders out there got torched. We got
Travis, couple. Can I interrupt you for a quick second?
Go right ahead, sir.
So you mentioned Tom Brady in the MVP race, and I decided that I have a bone to pick with Brendan Falco, who I've seen trolling in the comments thus far already. He went from calling us all rookies and saying that the Raiders were a lock on Sunday.
Raiders were a lock.
Yes, that's what he said. And then he said, SMH, you're all rookies. We all know, we all saw it. And I just also like to point out that I saw him on his show, the Falco Takeaway this week. Hopefully the link's in the description or in the comments. I saw him on his show asking if Tom Brady is an MVP candidate. So he went from Tom Brady is going to get dismantled in Las Vegas to Tom Brady is an MVP candidate. So I just wanted to notice the flip-flop there. I had a bone to pick. That's all I got to say. Travis, back to you.
All right. Rick, real quick before we move on, your weeks overall on week 7.
I mean, it's probably one of the more fun game day experiences I've had in a while, man. Those 1:00 games was crazy. The endings in some of those games, the way they came down to like last few possessions, Browns and Bengals shooting it out in the last 5 minutes or so. Would we have 4 or 5 touchdowns at the end of that game? It felt like the way that the Falcons managed to lose yet another one, that was just ridiculous, man. But
yo, Rick,
those 1 o'clock games.
To the fam, yo. Tell the fam I said
they rolling through. They rolling through.
Tell them I said what's up.
Yeah, man. But the way those 1 o'clock games ended, man, that was fun as hell. And then to go into that Sunday night game, what a treat for us, man. That was awesome to see what we were able to get from those 2 offenses, man. Awesome time watching football on Sunday for sure.
Can we talk about DK Metcalf back there on the Terminator hawk down he did on that, man? That was insanity.
The only other time I've seen that, I don't know if y'all remember way back. I want to say it was when Marion Barber was with the Cowboys. He broke for like an 80-something yard touchdown, and T.O. ran him down, made it into the end zone before him, waited for him to get into the end zone to celebrate. It's the only time I've ever seen something crazy.
Leon Lett in the Super Bowl, Dallas Buffalo. He got chased down and fumbled the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a big guy. We ain't gonna hold him.
Paul, real quick, what are your thoughts on Week 7 here? Are you satisfied with play?
Oh, I mean, satisfaction is high. Sunday Night Football was the game of the year thus far. What we've seen, early submission for game of the year. I don't even know how you top that. I was excited to see what the rookies have been doing. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert look like 10-year veterans. But it's also a tragic weekend. You see guys like Odell Beckham get hurt on hustle plays. A similar rundown type situation. He goes down for another catastrophic injury. So my thoughts and prayers go out to all of the players out there that have suffered some injuries. I seen Darrell Hunter, Minnesota, just had neck surgery. Didn't even know he was hurt. So while the game is great to watch, it's still a very brutal sport and dangerous sport, and I think we need to always make sure that we recognize that as fans.
Oh, for sure, man. Absolutely. Shout out to all the NFL players, especially athletes playing during this time. I know this year we've seen a high in injuries due to the lack of training camp, and some teams even the lack of practice because they're under COVID restrictions. So I definitely appreciate, without athletes, we have no hitless brand. So without them, I definitely appreciate them for all them playing out there. Box office, who are you giving your game balls to real quick for Week 7?
I got a special game ball, man. I'm giving out to Ron Rivera, man. Not only did he get the big win against the Dallas Cowboys Sunday, but he completed his cancer treatment the other day, man. I hope the video's been circulating about when him ringing the bell, man. Shout outs to him. Hopefully, good health is on the way. That's the only one I got. I mean, we can give another one out, but
that's great. That's great.
Respect to that. Declan, game ball.
I don't know how I follow that up. That might have been the best game ball I've ever seen. Ron Rivera, shout out to him. He posted something. I think Travis, you might have put it in the group chat. The group. Adam Schefter retweeted it. Ron Rivera did a how it started versus how it's going. It was him getting diagnosed and then him ringing the bell. Awesome. Love to see it. Riverboat Ron. And then he gets the win, the icing on the cake, the cherry on the top, if you will. I will give my game balls quick. I'll also start with an apology to Baker Mayfield. Paul, I'm sure you'll love that.
As you
will.
Hold on. Real quick, Dak. Are we a believer in that he might be better without Odell?
Shut up.
I'm just asking the question. I'm just asking the question. That's all. I'm just asking the question.
It's a sticky situation. It's a sticky situation. I've got into it on the group this week. Listen, he was really good in 2018. He put up elite numbers for a rookie. I don't think anybody should ever debate that. He came in second Rookie of the Year voting. And then obviously had the 21 picks, fell off tremendously last year. I don't think he's going to get much better as he is. I saw the memes circulating about the Baker Mayfield cycle. All right, we're at the part where he beats an inferior opponent. I'm going to have to give him my game ball. 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. The pick happened to be going to Odell Beckham on the unfortunate tackle. So, again, I'm going to echo Paul's thoughts and say thoughts and prayers out to Odell. He's a great guy. I love him. I met him a couple times. Amazing dude. But I'm going to have to say this. Baker's my game ball. I am not a huge believer in the Browns, but hopefully they can get it going for the sake of Cleveland. I'm going to also have to follow up my last week pick was Budda Baker. He did it against Andy Dalton. Last week, he got, I think it was 7 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, and a pick. Now he did it against Russell Wilson. He got a nice pick, read a ball that was kind of a lollipop to Chris Carson. Yes, obviously he got tackled by DK Metcalf, but he just missed the pick 6. Buda Baker's going to have to get my game ball twice in a row. I'm starting to have a little bit of an infatuation with him. It started back week 2. So I'm going to have to give it to Buda Baker.
Thought you said this was quick, man.
I did.
Oh, did I? Did I? I'm sorry.
Forget that. It's all good. Paul, real quick, who's your game ball going to?
So on offense, my game ball is going to Mr. Justin Herbert. When you go out there and you do what he did as a rookie, first time still seeing a lot of these schemes. Now there's game tape against him, and he went out there and completely shredded the Jacksonville Jaguars, and did exactly what you expect a superstar to do, which is destroy a bad team. So Justin Herbert. And on the defensive side, this was a toss-up for me. I'm going with the entire Arizona Cardinals defense. I had a feeling somebody would take Buda Baker with his 14 tackles, his 2 tackles for a loss, and that obvious big pick. But with what they did to Russ, right, tells you that every quarterback is susceptible to pressure. When you get hit, you get happy feet. And those 3 interceptions were all vindicative of happy feet Russ. They have just set the blueprint for the remainder of the season in that second half on how to let Russ cook. Because all of a sudden, now here comes the Niners twice. Here comes the Rams twice. And then before you know it, we're looking at another 9-win season for Russell Wilson. So shout out to the Arizona Cardinals. I told y'all last week, Arizona is real.
So in the words of Ray Jarvis, we'd like to give him his flowers.
We're not going that far with him.
He's the only one. Listen, he was the only one to pick them. He did. He was the only one. We got to give him his flowers. Give him his props. He did.
I'll give him shout outs for the pick, but I am not going to sit here and say I'm a full believer in the Cardinals. Like, not a full believer yet.
Hold on. 7 points in the second half and overtime, and the only points they gave up came on short yardage due to a Kyla Murray bad throw. Are you kidding me? Did y'all watch
Like I said, I'll give you shout outs for the pick, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a full believer, man. Like, we all admitted that division, that's a tough division right there.
We got some salty
people. Don't be.
We got some salty people. Hey, Rick, could you give us your game balls real quick?
Yeah, real quick. So my game balls on defense, man. I'm going with Devin White. He balled out for the Bucks defense. 11 tackles, 3 sacks, fumble force. I mean, he was all over the field. He made it a mess for the Raiders all game. I'm gonna have to piggyback on the Arizona train and give my offensive game ball to Kyla Murray. The stats were impressive on its own in the air and on the ground, but I think one of the things I saw that was most important from Kyla Murray on Sunday night, I want to say there was like a 3-stack wide receiver screen that was set up that was blown up almost immediately because I can't remember which receiver it was, completely whiffed on the block. And, you cut to the sideline and you got Kyla Murray, who everybody jokes about being this little kid, this tiny little dude on the sideline, ripping his team to shreds, letting them know that type of lack of effort or missed blocks or whatnot is not going to be acceptable and holding his team accountable. To see a second-year kid on the sideline like that, and then to get the reaction and the effort for the rest of the game that you get from your team going forward, man, that's leadership right there, man. Kyla Murray did his thing on Sunday.
And I just want to add to that real quick, Carl. What you seen Sunday night was literally like watching the kid grow up. They went from crawling to walking, from walking to running, from you feeding them to them putting a spoon in their mouth themselves and picking it up. At 22 or something crazy like that, Kyla Murray is the leader and voice of the entire Arizona Cardinals football team. He had this, even when they got the ball back with 40 seconds and no timeouts, Kyla took the ball and said, he put on that helmet, he dusted off the visor and said, we're going to go tie this game, and did it. And then they won it. How could you not be
that last drive was magical too.
All right,
Arizona is real, man.
So they're not in Israel.
Before I let you guys go, on Tuesday we know is election day. We want to go out there and vote. But another important date, it's the NFL trade deadline date, November 3rd. So we have Bengals trade Carlos Dunlap to the Seahawks in exchange for players and draft pick per reports. Any other trade scenarios we see out there before I let you guys go before the deadline, or you guys want me to wait till Sunday? We can highlight it then.
First
Absolutely,
of all,
I got some.
If I may, go ahead, Paul.
Well, Deck, you get that off your chest, baby. What you got to say?
I appreciate you. First of all, we're talking about Carlos Dunlap. I just got to say, I know that the owners have run the league for a while, and it's great that the players are starting to take more initiative and stuff, but it's just starting to get so friggin' annoying. Carlos Dunlap whined, he complained, he cried, he did everything you would absolutely never want to have with a player on your team, and he goes and gets traded to a contender. Jamal Adams did the same thing. He acted like a baby with the Jets, and he got traded to the Seahawks.
Hey. I don't think the scenarios are the same.
Right. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get out of a losing situation, man.
No.
Fine, but there's a way. There's a way to handle yourself. There's absolutely a way to handle yourself that pays.
I'm 50-50. All Jamal Adams wanted to do was win and get paid and have a long-term career. That's not the case. Carlos Dunlap actually did not want to be there, fought with coaches, with the disgruntled individual. They told him stay home. They didn't cut him.
I see he posted something about the game plan on Twitter.
Listen.
Yeah, that was wild.
Jamal Adams called out the coaching staff and the offense while he was there. So I don't think that he's
the coaching
necessarily
staff
in the
called
wrong.
out the coaching staff.
It's the Jets, so yeah.
Hey, Paul.
I'm not saying he's in the wrong here, but there's a way.
Hey, Paul, I got a sorry to interrupt, but Anthony wants to know, where did you get the butter soft coat from?
Hey, baby. Listen, you talking about the butter soft coat. You need to check out the Lundqvist, baby.
With the city bike on deck.
There's not a
and he's still not getting it dirty.
This is why I love the hit list, man. You never know what we're gonna pull. Now we got fashion tips. We got a coat and some loafers.
We got everything.
Crazy.
Hold on, let's give Paul some credit here. He's running around town. Biking around town in a city bike, and he looked like he just picked those loafers up from like Men's Warehouse. I mean, Jesus.
No. Jack, don't ever disrespect me with the Men's Warehouse. Let's get that.
Paul said he in a higher tax bracket than that. He in a higher tax bracket.
Okay, let me shift the combo back to football real quick though. But box office or Rick, any trade scenarios real quick before I let you go because we're running short for time.
I ain't even got a scenario out there. Hold on.
Go ahead, Paul. Quickly, go.
I got a few. I think the Cardinals make a deal for Zach Ertz. He will be back at some point this season. Dallas Goedert is now the man in Philly. Zach Ertz is their guy, and that could boost that offense. The second one I do think, I'm just throwing this out there, I think Dwayne Haskins gets moved to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I got a little source on the inside that's saying Dwayne Haskins will get moved to the Steelers for a cornerback named Justin Lane in the 4th-round draft pick, and I'm here to see Dwayne Haskins get developed by a legend in Big Ben. We're going to see about it.
Listen, I love the fact that a hit list contributor has sources. We got sources, people. That's amazing.
You guys made
we got sources.
My first time I was on here, you guys made fun of me for saying I was sources.
No, we got sources. We do got some sources.
You didn't have any though. But Deck, you didn't have them.
But Declan, just keep it though. All of a sudden now, hit list contributors, as we get the live, everyone's get their sources. Everyone's get the inside tip or trade rumors now. All of a sudden,
you got to bring it, man.
Let me throw mine out there.
Go ahead, real quick, man. Go ahead.
I got. The Seahawks, they answered with that. They tried to address their pass rush situation. I say they make another step, make a move to Dallas and get Alden Smith out of there. I mean, he's on a 1-year deal. He's been somewhat productive. That defense is in desperate need of pass rush, and I'm not a believer that Carlos Dunlap is going to come in and save the day. So hey, pass rush.
Tack McKinley, Trav. Tack McKinley from Atlanta.
Tack McKinley. They may not have the draft capital for that to trade up.
Do you guys think Julio gets moved?
Nah.
Money-wise, it could make sense, but I don't know.
So speaking of, you look at a team like the Cleveland Browns who just lost Odell. They've got a really good record. They're maintaining, they're posing a threat in the AFC, in their division, in the conference, whatever the case may be. You got names floating out there like Julio Jones, and I know it's tough to see trades within the division, but imagine Cleveland goes out and try to get AJ Green. You know, it's a 1-year rental kind of. He wants to move on anyway from all reports. So if you're able to pull something like that off and have somebody to replace Odell right now so you can keep moving forward with as much talent around Baker Mayfield as you can, the Cleveland Browns are, I think, the team that needs to make something like that happen ASAP.
All right,
hey,
guys. Thank you so
what
much.
before? Hey, Carl, hold up 1 second, baby. I know you got contributors on the way in. Hey, Rick. Arthur Blank came out and said that Matt Ryan and Julio won't be dealt. I think he's bluffing, but I do think the team he goes to is the San Francisco 49ers, a team that can blend in a high-powered guy without changing the culture.
All right, guys. Travis, I just wanted to let you know real quick. Womack leads you by 1 game, 46-45. He leads you by 1. He had 9 last week. You had 11. So those are those 2 standings, gentlemen.
Trav, pick it up, man. Pick it up. You can't let us down, Travis.
I know, right? I'll see you guys on Sunday.
Stop picking my Panthers, man. I gotta stop it.
I'll see you guys on Sunday for week 8. You guys take care. I'll talk to you guys.
Hold on, Carl. Quick question.
What's up?
You really serious about this remix now?
Pull up. I got some smoke. I got some smoke, baby. You know what it is. You know what it is already. You already know it's going down. Listen.
I'm out, man.
Pull up, man.
I'm out.
No, you better be damn out because you're disrespectful. You're disrespectful. I want you to cool in at 5 o'clock. I want you to bring the family, bring everybody. Bring everybody
man.
For the travesty that you pulled, don't get me started. I'm hot.
Oh,
and you're gonna hear about it. You're gonna hear about it.
I see.
Yo, you damn well see. You need my glasses to see more. You're gonna hear from me. Right. You're gonna see more. Watch. I'm coming. 5 o'clock. It's on. It's on.
Anarchy.
It's on. I'll see you guys later. Let me bring in Brandon Falco for his segment right now. Let me bring in Brandon Falco here for the Falco.
There he is. Brandon?
Falco, how you doing, sir? Can you hear me?
Of course. What's going on?
All right. So right now is what we like to call the debut of Falco Facts here on the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans. Brandon Falco has an issue with people interrupting him. So I decided that, you know what, let's do a change of gears. Since Falco wants his voice to be heard and his opinions, he's going to bring you his 3 facts that he finds from the week. So Falco, the floor is yours, uninterrupted.
Carl, first of all, I appreciate you for that. I do not like being interrupted. First things first, all the goofballs, including myself, who used to say Tom Brady is a system quarterback, you could plug anyone into Bill Belichick's system and they will instantly be successful, is factually incorrect. The Patriots have been a disaster offensively. No matter if it was Cam Newton, Stid, whatever the situation is, they're a disaster. Tom Brady has proved himself he is a top 5 quarterback, no doubt about it. I would even go as far as saying he's a top 3 quarterback. The only guys entering the postseason I would take over Tom Brady is 1, Pat Mahomes, 2, Russell Wilson. Brady's numbers may not look like they're outstanding, or his 2007 MVP 50-yard season, maybe it doesn't look that crazy jumping off the table, but he does exactly what they're asking him to do to win. He's asked to manage games. If you're going to ask Tom Brady to manage a football game and win games, there's no one better in the business than him. There's time to time where you may need him to ball out and have a historic performance or throw for 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, and give you that like we seen last week. 4 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown against the Raiders. We saw it against the Chargers down 24-7. You know, no matter what the circumstances with Tom Brady, you always have that feeling in your gut that Tom Brady's going to do it. He's going to come back and win the game. So on that note, I am picking the Bucs to make the Super Bowl out of the NFC, and they should be favored over the Seattle Seahawks. And why I don't think the Seahawks won't they're NFC pretenders. I will call the Seahawks pretenders simply because their defense is a total disaster. It cannot be worse. And it's not that, because people are going to be in the comments, some vanilla takes say, Brandon, you're just saying this because they lost. But if the Cardinals missed the kick at the end of regulation, you would have the same take. No, it's not. This is why I don't trust the Seahawks in the playoffs. And it's nothing to do with Russell Wilson because he is the clear front runner for MVP. If we look at a 4th quarter of a football game, we know how important time management is and how important the clock is. You can only get Russell Wilson the ball so many times. The way a flow of the game is going, once you come down to the final 4 minutes, 2 minutes, it's almost going to be like, all right, is Russell Wilson going to get the ball this time? He could lead the Seahawks down to a game-winning drive, get them with the lead, but then you got to hand the ball back and have your defense make a stop. At the end of the day, a 32nd ranked defense is never a title contender. Never. That's their limitation. That's their Achilles heel. There's going to be times you need to trust your defense to make a stop under 2 minutes, and I don't think that the Seahawks are that team. And now to flip the script real quick to the Buffalo Bills in the AFC. The Buffalo Bills are the AFC biggest pretenders. Why is that? Josh Allen is just not as good as everyone's trying to hype him up to be. They're trying to tell me he's a top 5 quarterback and an MVP caliber player, an MVP candidate. He's not winning MVP, first of all. His numbers are a little inflated, and you got to take into context with the Bills' record. first and foremost, everyone's knowing the Bills for their great defense, their great defense, their great defense. They have the 17th ranked defense in the NFL. These things matter and need to be taken into consideration. 2 of their wins and 2 of their opponents have been the New York Jets, which you're going to ask me, the Jets are the worst team in NFL history. Without a doubt, I don't think there is a close second. I'll take the 2017 Browns over them. I'll take the 2008 Detroit Lions over the Jets. And the thing is, last week, Josh Allen gave you nothing. The fact that the Bills allowed 4 second half yards, not points, yards, and Josh Allen and the Bills still couldn't capitalize on 1 touchdown drive. You got in the red zone about 6 or 7 times, if I remember correctly, and you can't punch it in once. What about the Chiefs the week before? They told me that the Bills are supposed to be a threat to the Chiefs. So if you're going to tell me they are a threat to the Chiefs, why, when the stakes were at a ties, I get it was a bad condition game weather-wise. I understand that. Why is Josh Allen throwing for, I think, 16 of 35, 122 yards with 2 picks? That's the guy. That's the team that's supposed to upset the Chiefs. I'm not buying it. Those are your Falco's facts.
Falco, thank you so much for those takes. Please make sure you check out the Falco Takeaway on Instagram. You can go to his YouTube page and follow him for more content. And we'll see you sometime soon down the road, man. Take care. God bless.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. All right, let me bring in my other contributors. You are watching the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Coming up later on in the show, you will have myself and some other contributors who are here for the remix. We will have a remix of the Small Forward. It was a travesty. I have to speak on it. The executive producer of the Sports Hit List is here to restore order in here in the Mount Rushmore series. And we've had a lot of travesties, but enough is enough, and it's time for a change. But right now, we are here to pay tribute to New York athletes. We are here for a special tribute to New York athletes. Let me introduce my contributors who are here. TK the Tank, Tom Kenny is in the building. He's not talking pro wrestling. He's not talking football. He's not talking baseball. He may be talking all of them. TK, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Carl. Thanks for having me.
We have Mike Phillips. He had a travesty on his own on the Mount Rushmore. You're not getting a remix, but I am. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Don't worry about it. I don't need one. I don't try to fight it like you.
Listen. Some things cannot be. Some things have to be done. It is what it is. These people here in the hitless streets are very petty. They want to be petty. I'll show them petty in a few minutes. All right? Because enough is enough. I'm tired of it. And I don't care if anybody has anything to say with it. You want to call me Roger Goodell? You want to call me Rob Manfred? You want to call me Vince McMahon? I'm pulling the EP card. Shit has to be done right. Coach, how you doing, sir? What's up, man?
You just saw Coach put the glasses on?
I told everybody put the glasses on because they need to see. They don't see right. And you're going to leave Larry Bird off of Mount Rushmore list. I'm telling you, I'm fired up. Coach, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Glad to come in on your rant. Appreciate it, man.
So I kind of figured I want to show a special shout out to Paula Kesey, to Greg Polius, and to Paul Lawson. They were chatting it up about New York athletes. And you know me, anytime I see something going on the hitless streets and congregation, I wanted to turn into a conversation, make it into a segment. We have the co-founder of the Sports Hit List, Mr. Ziggy Zig, pulling up as well.
Zig.
Yeah, so we want to talk about New York athletes and your top 5. It's not a Mount Rushmore, so you get 5. And I think this conversation, it all depends, but there's a lot of things that we can sit here and say that's a fair assessment when you're talking about favorite athletes. You got to talk about championships. You got to talk about popularity. You got to talk about statistics. You got to talk about being liked by the media. All these are factors into liking an athlete. So I thought with New York having so many star athletes and superstar athletes, let's make a list out of it. So with that being said, Mike Phillips, I'm going to give you the honor first. My brother from St. Francis. We got some St. Francis people here, but Mike Phillips and Mr. St. Francis himself. You get 5 athletes in any sport out of who played here in New York. Who makes your list, starting at 5?
So I will ask you this before I jump in, because this changes it a little. And I actually asked Jamal earlier today on how we try to figure this out. Are we going by our era? Or are we going just all time in New York?
All time in New York. There's no era. All time in New York. Listen, we got to do it. It can't be by era.
My number 5, Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth. The name says it all. I don't even have to fight it. Greg, come see me. I know you say he's overrated. Come see me. I'll talk to you too. But Babe Ruth is number 5 on my Mount Rushmore of New York athletes, if we're calling it that.
Okay.
My number 4, Henrik Lundqvist. Mm-hmm. One of the best all-time goalies in New York history. We can give honorable mention to Mike Richter for winning the 94 Cup. We can give honorable mention to other greats from New York in hockey, but when you talk about Ranger hockey in our lifetime or any lifetime, it'll be Henrik Lundqvist, the king. He didn't get a cup,
but you can't blame him. He's only one player. My number 3 is Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing, one of the best centers I've ever seen play. Just amazing the way.
Are you about to cry for Patrick Ewing?
I'm never going to cry for a player. I'm not Marcus Lamar. I'm not Brandon Falco. I don't cry for players. But I will tell you, Patrick Ewing, the popularity, the intensity he brought to the court, if only he had dunked it and didn't try to finger roll, they could have had a championship. But listen, that's my number 3. My number 2 and my number 1 come from my arch nemesis, the New York Yankees. My number 2 is Derek Jeter. All-time best shortstop ever to play. Ever, in my eyes. And my number 1, enter the Sandman, Mariano Rivera. You cannot debate him not being on this list, but not being number 1. Nobody was more lights out than Mariano Rivera. And that's right. I didn't pick Joe Namath. I didn't pick Tom Seaver. I didn't pick anybody on my team in regard besides Henrik Lundqvist and Patrick Ewing, because you have to remember what's great. And
okay, so Mike goes with Babe Ruth, Lundqvist, Ewing, Jeter, and Mo. But Mike, you picked 3. You're a Met fan picking 3 Yankees. The irony here. All time. You play with 3 Yankees. Like,
if I wanted to, listen, I've gotten flack for being homer picks. If I wanted to, I could have said Mike Piazza. I could have said David Wright. I could have picked players, but I'm being realistic. If we're talking sports and we're talking all time, you can't knock the hustle. You can't knock the hustle. And
Respect.
The hustle that Derek Jeter had, the hustle Mariano had, I never wanted to play Mo. If we were in the 9th inning and we had a lead or we were losing and Mo was coming in, I turned the TV off.
Okay, fair. So Ziggy Zig, co-founder of the Hit List, my brother. You got your 5, start at number 5. Who you going? All-time New York athletes. Who cracks your list?
All right, all-time New York athletes. Mike already said a couple of them, so I guess I'm just gonna go with that. He mentioned Mariano Rivera.
So that's your number 5.
Well, yeah, number 5. I'm going with Mariano Rivera. I don't have a exactly ranked order, but these are my top 5.
Well, try to rank them as you go along if you can.
Well, if you want me to
listen, man, you gotta move on. Zay, you gotta be ready, man. You the coach.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm always ready. I'm ready. It's call here now telling you, oh, you gotta make sure you rank them. Like, no,
because that's the best thing to do. You gotta rank. You gotta rank, brother.
Screw all that. Like he's eating chicken wings. He's licking his lips. Ready. He's ready.
I'm ready to go. And Carl gonna try to change the game on me like you changed the game with this remix bullshit. But
it's not bullshit. Shit, things have to be done right. We gotta do things right, man. Go ahead.
Let's get back because Mac and Kenny need to go. All right, so I'm gonna go with Mariano Rivera. All right, that's my 5th pick right there. Number 4, I'm going with Derek Jeter. Right, like I said, I'm going off for all the guys that Mike picked. I don't need to go ahead and repeat everything that he said. Right, 5-time champion, both of them were MVPs. And like, what guy, Derek Jeter? What guy do you know gets a standing ovation at Fenway? Like, no one does. No one gets that. So I'm going with Derek Jeter. I'm going with Mariano Rivera. Now, one guy who I was surprised Mike did not pick, I'm going with – no, you know what? No, let's continue. I'm going to go with Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing. Nobody ever talks about the fact that Patrick Ewing made it to the NBA not NBA Finals. Patrick Ewing played in the playoffs 1990, 91, 92, 93, 94. Went to the playoffs 5 times. And each team that he lost to ended up winning the NBA championship. So I got to give it to Patrick Ewing. Definitely got to give it to him. Played on both sides of the ball. Had a love-hate relationship with the fans, but we really started to love him after he was gone, right? The next individual that I want to go with, right? Henrik. I'm going with the King. One of the best individuals for the New York Rangers. I remember reading newspapers, the Daily News as a kid about him. I used to read the newspapers from back to front just so I could read the sports section, right? NBA, MLB, NHL. Henrik, definitely giving it up to him. And my last individual that I'm definitely going with, didn't start playing football until the 11th grade, probably the greatest linebacker of all time, Lawrence Taylor. I'm going with Lawrence Taylor, all right? Champion, a defensive player of the year multiple times, multiple champion, I should say that, right? And coaches had to change their whole schemes for this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole offensive line, specifically the tackles, they had to change because they weren't fast enough to keep up with Lawrence Taylor. This guy had everything: aggression, speed, power. He had it all. Number 56. I'm going with that.
Okay, so we have Mo, Jeter, Ewing, Lundqvist, and Lawrence Taylor. TK the Tank, you're on the clock. Top 5, starting at number 5.
Top 5, starting number 5. This is pretty tough, and I may have stretched myself out a bit thin trying to get players from every sport that played in New York. Honorable mention to Bruno Sammartino, who I almost put on here because he headlined Madison Square Garden 188 times.
Wow.
So honorable mention to that man. But
I'm with it.
5. Number 5, though, I'm going to go with Mike Bossy. 1979 to 1983, the Islanders had a dynasty. They owned hockey. They won 4 championships. And Mike Bossy, he was the Iron Man. He was the MVP of the playoffs in 1982. He rarely missed any time on the ice, and he led that Islanders team. So I want to give a shout out to him at number 5 for being just so dominant. Number 4, I'm going to go. I was afraid. I was between Patrick Ewing and Walt Frazier, and I was really nervous because Frazier had those 2 championships, but I wanted to pick Patrick, and I'm glad I've seen the last 2 before me pick Patrick, because as a kid being born in 1990, watching Patrick Ewing just play basketball in the NBA in the 90s was so much fun. You know, hearing that opening theme and everything, just getting pumped up for the
best theme in sports, baby. Yep.
Oh, it was the best. They made the playoffs for 12 straight years between 1988 and 2000, and you cannot look at anyone else but Patrick Ewing for that. And a couple plays go a different way. John Starks has a better quarter than he could have that championship. I didn't want to leave Patrick off for that, so Patrick's my number 4. Number 3, I'm going to go with it's funny he's at number 3 because he is one of the greatest of all time, is Mariano Rivera. You think about Mariano and you think about him bursting onto the scene with the New York Yankees and how many records he would go on to break. And it's amazing to think that he started out at 25 years old, making his first major league debut, his first game as a starting pitcher, and didn't become a full-time closer until 1997. So you're talking about a guy who started closing full-time in 1997 and broke all the records and set the bar for what it means to be a closer. A great New York athlete, one of the best of all time. It cannot be denied. Now, my number 1 and number 2 really are, I believe, interchangeable. But if we're going with athlete, I'm going to give number 1 to a different guy. So number 2, I'm going to give to Jackie Robinson and the Brooklyn Dodgers. Breaking the color barrier, winning an MVP, winning a championship with the Dodgers. He didn't have a long career, much like Mariano Rivera starting late. Jackie Robinson also started late, but he changed the whole game. There's a reason when you walk into Citi Field, you walk into the Jackie Robinson Rotunda, and there's a reason 42 was retired throughout all of baseball. What he did is it can't be diminished what he did, and he did it as a New York player in the Brooklyn Dodgers. So for that, he gets my number 2 spot. But when you talk about athlete, if we're talking about the top 5 athletes, there's no more of a freak athlete, an absolute game changer, a guy who wrecked the game than Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor won 2 Super Bowls, 132 and a half sacks lifetime for the Giants, second only to Michael Strahan. And he was just, you couldn't stop this guy. This guy in the 80s and 90s just struck fear into his opponents. You can look, he had a hairline fracture in his right tibia. He got against San Francisco in 1987. He played the next week. He broke a bone in his foot in 1989. He only took 1 week off. You couldn't keep Lawrence Taylor off the field. He was one of the best athletes to ever step foot on the football field. That's why he won an MVP as a defensive player, which we all know is extremely hard. Only 2 men have done it. So for me, if you're looking at athletes in New York, the number 1 athlete has to be LT.
So we go with Mike Bossy, Ewing, Mo, Jackie Robinson, and Lawrence Taylor. Well, Mac, I love the background, man. Can't stop, won't stop. Invented the remix. Coach, the floor is yours.
You know, it's tough to go last when you got a list like this because a lot of us, like you said, we're going to repeat, but I think some of us got the different orders. I was happy to see Tom throwing Jackie Robinson because I'll go into where I have him and why I have it, but I don't argue with that 1-2. Like the argument with when you go athlete, Lawrence Taylor, and if you go just overall, who changed, you know, the entire landscape of baseball in terms of the color barrier, you got to go Jackie. But we're going to start with my number 5, and that's Babe Ruth. You know, I'm going Babe Ruth. People say he's overrated. You only could play who you play. You only could play in the era that you represent.
Say that louder, Coach. Say that louder.
You only could play who you play. I mean, here's the thing that I say to people when you say overrated because of the era. Well, why wasn't everyone else doing it then? If it's a bad era, everyone else should be hitting the same amount of home runs.
If it's easy, then we're home run kings.
You know what I mean? Like if it was the era, Joe Schmo would have had 500, 659 home runs in a career, but they didn't because they were not Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth, you know, I don't care if they made it up where he pointed out the stadium and then he hit the next home run. It sounds good. It's good in every movie. I loved it. Babe Ruth, he changed the game. He gave us the home run. He was a pitcher, cursed to all Boston sports for hundreds of years. Yeah, Carl, I'm throwing your Celtics in there. All Boston sports were cursed because of trading Babe Ruth. So
That's
Babe
cool.
Ruth, he's
cool.
my number 5 in terms of greatest athletes. Then we got to go another Yankee great, Lou Gehrig. You know, what Lou Gehrig brought to the game, who he was as a person, you know, what he battled. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can't, that's what New York is about. If you can survive here, you can survive everywhere. He was excellent on the field. He was a great hitter. You know what I'm saying? He was just the quintessential what New Yorkers are about in terms of who we live our lives like. And he gave us one of the most iconic speeches ever in sports history. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go Lou Gehrig at number 4. Number 3 to me, Mariano Rivera, the Sandman. You know, I couldn't quite put him number 1 because I hate to say it and I don't want to disrespect relief pitchers. But when you're looking at guys like LT and Jackie Robinson, who are playing both sides week in and week out, when we go athlete, I got to bring Mariano down a little notch, you know, because he was a relief pitcher, but he's the greatest relief pitcher. And that's why he becomes number 3 on my list in terms of New York athletes. Set the bar. You know, he does an amazing job in the community as well, what he does with his organizations. But when he came in, like Mike said, when he came in his prime, it was over. It was, you pretty much just, you don't care who you had coming up to bat. You pretty much just turn your TV off and say, Yankees got it. You got what I'm saying? And then when they started using him for 2 innings in those tough games, he was coming in the 8th, and then in the playoffs off a short rest, where he just pitched 2 innings the night before, and he was going to pitch again another 2 innings to close out the series. Come on, that was unheard of. You know what I mean? He had great setup men, but Mariano Rivera revolutionized, you know, what we thought of that position. The Sandman enters. He's at my number 3. Number 2 for me, because of what I put into perspective, is going to be LT. The guy did it on coke. He did it on coke. He was coked up every week, and the guy was out there. And did you see him in Any Given Sunday?
Oh, yeah.
Any Given Sunday? Come on, we're going to forget about what he did in Any Given Sunday. Listen, LT he's like the Mike Tyson of the NFL. This guy was hied up every week. You knew what he was doing. Well, I know you know this, Tom, because I don't remember the player. Who did he break the dude's leg? Who was that guy? Joe Theismann? Joe Theismann, yeah. Get him out of here. He made Joe Theismann's leg look like a wrestling figure that you buy from the 99-cent store. It was a wrap. LT was bugging out. Nobody, like they said, he revolutionized the position. He revolutionized the formation for the way defenses played, the way they let their linebackers just run loose and do whatever the heck they want. All the Ray Lewises of the world, they got to thank that man for what he did. He got linebackers paid. Let's not forget that too. What he did got linebackers for the future, those $1 million contracts. So we got to give it up to LT. I'm a Giants fan. You know, gave me some championships where I couldn't remember because I was too young, but I still talk up and brag about those, just like all those other team sports brag about championships from the 70s, you know? Like so, yeah, so we ain't going to talk about that. The 60s,
get it right.
So my last but not least, Jackie Robinson, you know, what he did for the sport. Sometimes some athletes, and I'm going to change my tone here in terms of reverence. Sometimes what some athletes do off the field supersede what they do on the field in terms of their allure. He was a great player as well. So let me not knock down his play on the field. He was an excellent player. He just didn't have a long-term lifespan in terms of his peak at the game. But what he went through, what he did to pave the way in terms of the breaking the color barrier and opening up so for so many other players, if it's not just Black players, we're talking about without Jackie Robinson, there's no Hispanic players. You know, we're talking about the Dominican players, you know, Hispanic players from the DR. All those greats wouldn't be able to come if he had not paved the way. You know, the Roberto Clementes of the world, those guys would not have been able to come to the MLB. So Jackie Robinson, for that and that alone, was my greatest New York athlete. I want to give a shout out to the guys who didn't make my list, which is my favorite teams. Patrick Ewing, honorable mention, like we talked about. I just remember when Ewing put his hands up Like, what more can I say? What more you can say? You could have gave us a championship. But I'm gonna blame John Starks for horrendous shooting in the last couple games against Houston for us losing the championship. And John Starks is my favorite call. People don't know this. That's the reason I wear number 3. John Starks is my favorite athlete of all time because he was an underdog, not drafted, worked in a grocery store.
Yes, he did.
To the Knicks.
Yeah, he did.
What he did was the greatest New York story because everybody thought, well, if he did it, I can do it. So John Starks is my great. That's why I wore number 3 when I played basketball. But we didn't lose because of Patrick Ewing that year. You know, he's one of those athletes that just couldn't bring the city a championship. So he's not at the levels of, you know, the Jackie Robinsons, the Mariano Riveras, the Lawrence Taylors, because he didn't get that chip, but he's right there. Walt Clyde Frazier bought us a chip, but he had a lot of help. And he wasn't, you know, a superstar, just a superstar in his own right, like just leading the team. He had a great cast of characters. Those New York teams of the 70s were built off of defense. He was our defensive leader. And, you know how Will Clyde dresses. He's just a fashionable, crazy guy, so I got to keep him on honorable mention. Mickey Mantle, he makes my honorable mention. And Mark Messier. Mark Messier, I remember the 94, the Knicks and the Rangers, you know, and OJ. That's what we was talking about. Knicks, Rangers, OJ in 94. And Mark Messier, when the Knicks, you know, we didn't get it, a lot of us in New York still felt a little bit of hope because we got to celebrate the Rangers championship that season. Even I was young. I remember going into Modell's and they had the Rangers championship shirts that my mom got for me because the Knicks championship shirts got sent to another country. So, you know what I mean? Okay. Mark Messier.
Okay, so Womack goes Ruth, Gehrig, Mo, Lawrence Taylor, and Jackie Robinson. As trying to be objective as possible, I'm a little disappointed that one person's name was not even mentioned, even in honorable mention. And you guys know who I'm talking about. 2-time Super Bowl champ. His last name is a Manning, and he doesn't even crank anyone's list at all. Not even a consideration for Eli.
I'll give the New York Giants defense top 5.
So Eli gets no credit at all.
Don't do that, Mike. Don't do that, Mike.
Okay. Like, again, no one even mentioned him as an honorable mention as a possibility. Like, how does Eli get left off?
The New York Giants defense won one of those Super Bowls. Yes. Did Eli play well? Is he an all-time great to me? No. That's
okay, bro. I'm gonna say this really quickly, Carl. The reason I thought about Eli Manning is actually one more person who I was thinking about, and I'll mention him later. But the reason why I didn't personally put Eli Manning up there is that even though he brought the 2 championships to New York, a lot of people still didn't really mess with Eli like that. They were still calling him overrated. They were still saying that he was a bum. And these were some of our own Giants fans. We're not even going to talk about the Jets fans. So I'm not going to put Eli Manning up there. And really, really quickly, the one person that I wanted to get you guys' opinion on this, how is it that no one, and I had it very close to put this guy on my list, but nobody mentioned Mike Tyson. And I realized that and I was thinking about Mike Tyson, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I said athlete. This is true. This is true. Very, very, very true. Yeah.
Hold on, Carl. Can I ask you a question, Carl?
Sure.
You so concerned about why nobody put Eli Manning. Why you ain't put no pro wrestlers in the top 5? You ain't saying nothing about wrestling. Where the pro wrestlers at? Where's the pro? I was waiting for Tom Kenny. I was waiting for you, a call to give me a pro wrestler who's in the top 5 all-time New York athletes. What's going on? No WWF?
But
I wanted to. But I mean, Bruno Sammartino, he was born in Italy. He lived in Pittsburgh. Of course, he main evented Madison Square Garden a bunch of times. So I thought about him. But really, New York, Mike Tyson would have been a better choice than any of them.
Honestly, if you're thinking about it, though,
Chris Jericho, but
you could put Chris Jericho in there. But the other athletes have succeeded by far more than in pro wrestling. That's the only fair thing I could say.
Carl, can I just say, if you look on any list of top 25 athletes from New York, you're worried about Eli at least getting an honorable mention. He doesn't even crack the top 5 on anybody's list.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, Carl, I want to touch on Eli.
Okay, but again, so that means you guys, again, we talked about it's a little bit of everything. Eli was the model citizen, was that the face of a team.
Yeah.
People never expected the Giants to even win 2 Super Bowls at all. But he was the face of that humble person. But then again, you get people who put, again, I'm saying here, Patrick Ewing, who, and as Womack said, didn't bring a championship, and he gets to be put on the list.
Because this is not about who's the most successful athletes. Hold on. This is not the list of the most successful, just successful. This is the list of who we thought were the best athletes overall. So like a guy, if Lawrence Taylor never won a championship, he would still be in my top 2 if he performed the way he performed on the field, because he was just that dynamic. Eli falls into that Derek. Yeah, exactly. Eli falls into that Derek Jeter syndrome. Like, Derek Jeter was great, but Derek Jeter had a lot of help around him. You know, Derek Jeter wasn't the only reason why the Yankees won the championship. You can point to the pitching. You can point to the relief. You can point to the clutch hitting of so many different people. Eli Manning, he did it twice and he had a lot of different things surrounding him. He's not on the level with those other guys, man. I'm sorry.
And as much as I love Eli Manning, I'm a huge Eli Manning fan, won 2 Super Bowls. But you look at Patrick Ewing, like I said, the Knicks made the playoffs 12 straight years. They had a ton of success. Eli, it was Super Bowl or bust. Like, I think he made the playoffs maybe 4 or 5 times in his whole career. It was most of it, especially at the end, was a lot of losing seasons. So those 2 years, I cannot thank Eli enough for that. And I love Eli. But, I mean, he doesn't really crack, like everyone else said, the top 5. Other 2 guys, though, I'd like to mention, Tom Seaver and Joe Namath. Joe Namath wouldn't really crack it, but Joe Namath did something huge for the Jets, and Tom Seaver for the Mets. Both those 69 championship seasons, kind of like the Knicks and the Rangers in '94. That was just a historic time to be a New Yorker.
But then we could also say Casey Stengel. We could name a bunch of other people. Jamal, I gotta fight you on something here. I do not put Eli and Derek Jeter in the same conversation.
Hold on, you gotta wait.
Hold on.
In the championships, I said in their championship wins. Derek Jeter was never great in the World Series. He was never amazing. He
has a World Series MVP.
What are you talking about?
He was great. He has a World Series MVP. So does Eli. Eli has one too.
But that was because of the fourth quarter heroics. That was because of one quarter heroics.
But I mean, it wasn't like he didn't break any records.
No,
it's like Derek Jeter is not on the record book for anything.
Eli, you know how they have the pretenders, the contenders, and the elite. He was not a pretender. I will give you that. As a Jets fan, even I will say he was not a pretender. He was a contender. He would play well, but he was not a elite. Derek Jeter is elite. You put another shortstop or another position player the way Derek Jeter would hit the ball and would be able to see the ball. If we went all-time greatest hitters, Derek Jeter's up there because of the way he saw the ball. You can't.
I'll take that from you.
You can't say that about Eli about being a great quarterback.
But that's why once again,
quarterback. He was
Mike,
not
once again. What I said, you got to listen to the words. Was in their champion. So listen, in their championship runs, they were not amazing. Wait, in their championship runs, they were not amazing. So even though, just like Derek Jeter has an MVP, even though because he was the best player voted on by everyone and they thought he deserved it, just like Eli had one, but they didn't do anything that when I look in the record books or I remember those key moments, like this guy was out of this world during the championship run. It was more of a combination of their team being great during those seasons, during those championship runs when they won the championship, not career.
Okay.
Not career, Mike.
TK, final thoughts here.
You got to prove to me wrong. You got to prove it to me, Mike.
I'll see you next week on Womack Talk. Don't worry.
TK the Tank, final thoughts?
Final thought, I thought everyone had great lists. And speaking of New York athletes, we're lucky because we can actually do this, talk about all these great New York athletes we've had. We didn't mention guys like Joe DiMaggio. There's so many guys we left out. But we're lucky to live in New York and have all these great players. I mean, we could be in Idaho right now thinking like, I don't know, man, Mr. Potato Head. So I just think it's great to just have all these guys and have these conversations. And it was a joy to be here. So I had fun.
Ziggy, final thoughts.
Definitely enjoyed being on this panel, being able to talk this great talk. This was a great topic, by the way. So shout out to the MVP for introducing it. I low-key kind of want to change my list. I want to switch out the King for Mike Tyson because I'm really believing that Mike Tyson should make the list. But for editing purposes, I'll keep it the same way.
Coach, final thoughts.
I think it was a good debate. So many great talents from New York. You know, like Tom said, you know, and he talked about Joe DiMaggio. That was somebody that I had on my list too, top 10. Like Zig said, Mike Tyson. That was a real eye awakener right now. Like, I opened my eyes. Like, how could we forget Iron Mike in his prime? His energy was more than LT's in his prime.
Yeah,
like Mike's was global on a global scale, and he's from He's from Brooklyn, lived in Peekskill. He's New York through and through. You know what I mean? Never called another place home outside of New York until he became, a world championship. And when he got out of jail, he had to move out of the city because of, different reasons. He had to get away from some trouble. But he was a New York guy through and through, lived in New York. Mike Tyson deserves to be in the top 5. If I had to take somebody out, damn, it might have to be Lou or Babe. One of them got to go for Mike. But I like my list. I like my list.
Mikey Mike, final thoughts.
Yeah, everybody also forgot Buffalo, New York. Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly
as a quarterback. If we're talking about quarterbacks that we go by championships, Jim Kelly's up there instead of your man Eli, Jamal. Just throwing that out there. But I never thought as a Mets fan that I would have to defend Derek Jeter.
Listen, this is what the hit list will do to you, Mike. This is what the hit list streets will do to you, man. The hit list streets will make you do certain things you don't think you'll ever be able to do.
No one will ever be able to come for me anymore about being a homer after they watch this video and see that I just defended Derek Jeter as a Mets fan.
All right, guys. Thank you.
You have to be a homer. You didn't have nobody to say. You got what you want? You gonna lie on camera? You can't lie. You can't lie.
Thank you, guys. Make sure you tune in. The remix is coming up next. I got a special stuff in store for that one. They did my man Larry Bird dirt wrong, and I gotta fix it. You guys take care, and I love y'all. I'll talk to you soon. You're watching
Scottie Pippen. No Scottie Pippen.
Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans, live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Let me introduce the rest of my panel to discuss this debate. We have the self-proclaimed commissioner, Mr. Ray. Ray, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
We have Jay Lex, the Scottie Pippen fan, is in the building. How you doing?
We here. I've been waiting for this since last Friday.
We got Ray Jarvis from the Gray Area. How you doing, sir?
Yo, what's good?
All right, you guys can talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. You guys stay tuned. You guys can talk among yourselves. I got something up my sleeve. Give me 1 second. You guys go right ahead.
Me, man, always doing something.
Hey, regular. I just saw the Rockets hired Stephen Silas to be their new head coach. I think that's the son of Paul Silas. I think he's Paul Silas' son. He's been around the league for a little while. He's been an assistant, so it's good to see someone, a person of color, get a job. So we don't have to see Stephen A. and his hairline go viral, and his Stephen A. impersonators try to go viral. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad to see a brother get a shot.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't Sam or Jason Kidd for that matter, but at least it's somebody.
Nah, Jason Kidd is still lined up for the Lakers. You know what I mean? Eventually, he'll be lined up.
I had to do it right. I had to have the wardrobe changed because a lot of people in the hit list streets. Now, let me start off. There's a lot of things that go on, and people say a lot of shit, and they talk a whole lot in the streets. And I don't say anything. I allow them to come on my platform and run their mouth, and they say anything that they want to say about anything when it comes to sports, and I don't say anything at all. But last week, for those people who don't know and who didn't watch, you can go on YouTube and watch it. We had a Mount Rushmore episode that featured the small forward position. And I blame myself a little bit because I had two Flaker fans on that panel, Ron. Now, granted, they're still celebrating their championship. I gave them a pass. It's cool. Ricardo begged. He begged to come on the platform and talk about he needed to be on there. And I didn't see why he needed to be on there so eagerly. I said, okay. Anthony Mullen, he's a hit list executive. Fine, no problem. We have Brandon Falco, Mr. Numbers. So these gentlemen want to decide that they want to make a Mount Rushmore list. And that list included Kevin Durant. It came down to 4 people that they get 4 picks. You have Kevin Durant made the list. You also have Dr. J made the list. Elgin Baylor made the list. And LeBron James made the list. Now, Larry Bird did not make the list. Larry Bird did not make the list. Now, I don't understand how we can have a basketball segment and talk about basketball and not put Larry Bird on the list. That's inexcusable. That's unacceptable. And I don't care what anybody has to say. As I said before, you can call me Vince McMahon. You can call me Roger Goodell. You can call me Rob Manfred. You can call me every single name in the book. There is no way we're going to have a Mount Rushmore and not have Larry Bird on the list. That is not happening. And that's not even me being biased right now. That's just me talking basketball and what Larry did. Larry helped save basketball. So how can we sit here and not have that? That makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever for all of them. And I'm going to call them all petty. And they're just jealous of Larry Bird for what he was able to accomplish for the NBA during that time. You can call him that. Falco, he can't sit here and say, well, you know what? That's not fair because you picked LeBron James over Larry Bird. I'm not going to give you that pass for that. You get Kevin Durant, you're not going to put that. You're not going to put Kevin Durant up there over Larry Bird. These guys model their game after Larry Bird. Shame on all of them. Shame on all of them for doing something like that. Never again in the hit list streets. This is why I had to have a remix. You could throw out the old episode. You could take this new episode for people to understand what Larry Bird meant to basketball. We can't do that. And I'm sick and tired of people sitting here and pulling their shit and not talking sports. Talk sports right. Do it right.
You good, fam?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
That's the new quote. No, look, that's the new quote.
Good.
Talk sports right.
All right.
Do it right. Come on, man. It's absolutely absurd. It's ridiculous. We're talking basketball. We're not talking being petty. Like, we got to stop. We have to stop. Anyone in the Hitler streets talking overrated nonsense, they're not talking sports. They got to stop. We have to stop. I understand when you want to say stuff to troll, but at some point, enough is enough. Like, come on. We're here to have sports dialogue. We're not here to be picking favorites and be petty because you don't like people. You can't sit here and do that. No. I'm not going to accept that. Unacceptable. Hitler's CEO has spoken. Unacceptable. You don't like it? Too bad. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out. I'm done.
You sure?
Okay.
Sure.
For now.
Okay.
All right.
What's yours, gentlemen?
All right. Who wants to go first? I don't want to go after. Yeah, I can go ahead between now. I don't want to get started after all that,
Commissioner, what are your thoughts on that episode? I'm sorry, man. It had to be said. Enough is enough, man. It had to be said. Ray, what are your thoughts on that episode? That's why we have the remix here.
My top 4 would include Bird, no doubt.
Yes.
But after watching the episode, I get where they were coming from. I mean, there's one player who really gets left out a lot of talk when it comes to greats, and that's one is Baylor. You know what I'm saying? Elgin Baylor, he was a great player, without a doubt. When you actually Google him and see his numbers, like he was dropping before the 3-pointer came out. Like he was a walking bucket. Career average was 27 a game. So I understand where Anthony and Rick were coming from. Do I agree with it? No, but I don't really have an issue with it at all.
We're leaving Bird off?
I don't.
Why?
I don't agree with it, but I don't really have.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Why? I don't understand what that means.
Because they wanted to put in Baylor.
Larry should be on everyone's list. There should be no ands, ifs, or but about it. There should be it's unacceptable. Larry should be on people's list.
Elgin Baylor makes a strong case.
Not over Larry Bird. Not over Larry Bird. I'm sorry. No. Not over Larry Bird.
How you come on a remix and cape for that? Like why you here?
Yeah.
What you here for?
I know.
No, I'm not hearing that. No.
Like, how you come on and then cape for the
I'm not hearing that.
Not the agreement.
No.
He's really mad now.
I'm not taking that. No. Next. Jay Lex. Next. You want it. I know what you're going to say.
Look.
I know what you're going to say.
Here's the thing. If you're going to take Elgin Baylor, first off, Larry should have been on the list. Clearly, they were trolling you. We all know this. But if you're going to take Elgin Baylor, who, by the way, 27 points a game, I think it was like 14 rebounds, was 0 for 7. 0 for 7 in the NBA Finals. And I know everybody's going to say it's not just about rings and all that other stuff. Let's be clear here. The man lost 7 times in the finals. Okay? So if anything, you could either put John Havlicek or Rick Barry up there because they have similar career numbers. And trust me, I've been obsessing about this since last Friday. They have similar career numbers. I put either one of those guys over Elgin Baylor. I mean, hell, head-to-head, Elgin Baylor lost to John Havlicek multiple times in the NBA Finals. So with that being said, as great as Elgin Baylor was, he's not on my list at all. So I would go Braun, Larry, my boy, and I know people are going to get after me for it, Pippen, and Dr. J.
Pippen don't deserve to be on there neither. So I don't know
what
he
does. More than Elgin Baylor does.
Right.
Excuse you. He's a 6-time champion. And if you put them head to head, because I also like to do that. I've watched endless tape of Elgin Baylor. Elgin Baylor game doesn't translate to today. It doesn't. Scottie Pippen can play in today's era. Okay?
Which you can't guarantee, but go on. You can't do that.
You can't guarantee. But if you take Elgin Baylor's skill set, he's not getting past half court. He can barely go left. You think he's going to be doing the same move over and over again against stout defenders? If people in here could guard Elgin Baylor, that's how bad he was with his left hand. So if we're going to take his skill set and put him up against other people, it's not going to work. I'm not saying he's not great. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to be on like the top 10 or something like that, but he shouldn't be on the Mount Rushmore.
But
yes,
Scottie does.
Pippen should be on there.
And again, I'm not going to disrespect Scottie Pippen. I know what Scottie Pippen was able to do. This is not the way to bash Scottie Pippen, but when you're talking elite at that position, you believe Scottie Pippen deserves a place.
Yes, because of all the things that he did. There are levels to this. Scottie Pippen ran the offense. He guarded the best player every single night. And I know he played alongside Michael Jordan. That is the biggest argument that people have against him. But if anybody else played with Michael Jordan, they'd be second fiddle.
Which you still can't prove, but go ahead.
Which you still can't prove, but I think we can all agree Michael Jordan is not number one, number two all time.
You just said to talk sports right, and just said that you can't prove that anyone next to Jordan would be second fiddle. What are you talking about, bro?
Because what
are you talking about?
I know
what are you
exactly
talking about? No, don't irritate me this afternoon, bro.
I'm not
Anybody
next
to Michael
Jordan. Anybody next to
Michael Jordan is
we're
number
not dealing
two.
with ifs. We're not dealing with ifs. He played with Scottie Pippen. Scottie
Get
Pippen
the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here.
Get the hell out of here. Because it's an ego problem.
You just said
Scottie Pippen didn't mind being second fiddle.
with that.
Could anybody else be second fiddle?
Come on now.
Could anybody else take that? What do you mean it's Michael Jordan?
You put somebody next to Jordan, they're number two.
About egos.
Get the hell out of here.
Listen,
Get the hell out of
here. Listen, it's not get the hell out of here.
Get the hell out of here.
Same thing too, my guy. You
can't prove that.
Can you prove that? No, you can't.
I'm just gonna keep repeating that.
Okay, you can't.
But you sound stupid.
I don't sound
stupid. You sound super stupid right now.
You sound
stupid.
Can you prove it?
You can't prove that.
No.
I know you want to get your rant off, but you sound stupid.
No, you can't
get out of
prove
here.
it. No, you can't prove it.
Get out of here.
Go ahead.
You can say it as loud as you want.
I will.
You sound loud and stupid.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Dog, it's on you.
Anyway, the four, off the rip, just to make it clear, I'm a Laker fan. Elgin Baylor does not belong up there. We got to stop conflating best with greatest. Those two are not the same thing. Best and greatest, not the same. When you are great at something, it's about what you did with your skill. Yes, he won, but he didn't win. 0 for 7 in the finals. And when the year the Lakers won was the year he retired, which means that he quit mid-season and they won the championship without him. By default,
that's not me saying it, by the way.
All kinds of points off your all-time greatest list. Yeah, all right. What he is an all-time great bridesmaid. I'm sorry, Elgin Baylor, to do it to you, but you are the greatest bridesmaid of the small forwards in history of the NBA, basketball, so on and so forth. Then this is a Laker fan saying that. You sound ridiculous. When it comes to the top four, for me personally, the small forward position, greatness, iconic, whatever you did to change the position, you have to start with at least Scottie Pippen. As much as you people want to disagree, that's fine. You know what? I'm not here for you to agree with me. But Scottie Pippen changed the position. There's not many point forwards in the league prior to. Scottie Pippen was unheard of for his time, come to think of it. Not a point guard like Magic, but wing players, could defend bigs, ran the offense, could score, defend at the most elite level. He did all of that. And there was not one before him. If anything, for a while afterwards, Scottie Pippen was the prototype of the small forward for the modern NBA. We have to give credit where it's due. If you disagree, that's fine. But when we talking all-time great and an all-time great winner, you won 6, even if you were Mace and you was dancing behind Puff, but you was there. And without Mace, Bad Boy wouldn't move on after Biggie. So you got to give credit where it's due. Pippen is number 4 for me. Okay? Boom. Number 3. The prototype, the archetype of the wing players that we know today, right? Dr. J. If Dr. J's not on anybody's list, that is a problem. Well, I don't need to get into who he was. Some people disagree talking about the ABA and all of that. But yo, Dr. J. Con of icons in the ABA, if any NBA postmers, number 2, might go down as the greatest scorer of all time. And he's a small forward. We will see what he looks like coming off of Achilles injury. But number 2, gotta be Kevin Durant. If you disagree, see me in the comments. I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And number 1, numero uno, El Jefe of the small forwards. Green, White, Larry Bird.
Ooh, you left off.
Mount Rushmore. Now wait a second, right? A lot of people are gonna be like, where's LeBron? That's the question here. Where's LeBron on the small forward list? Now, the ridiculous you are to leave, it's stupid of me to leave LeBron off the list when he's actually the second greatest small forward of all time. You got to knock Scottie Pippen off that list. I'm sorry, J-Lex. I just turned on you. It's okay. LeBron is number 2. Larry's number 1. That is my list. Okay, Dr. J, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Larry Bird.
So we're all in agreement. So again, with the exception of the one person who makes Scottie Pippen relevant in the hit list streets, Scottie Pippen doesn't belong on the Mount Rushmore list. That's all I was saying. I wasn't disrespecting Scottie. The only person, realize you're the only person that I see ever comment to put Scottie Pippen in the top 4 list all time.
I'm sorry. I guess his 6 rings and all the things that Ray just told you don't matter.
But
I guess it don't matter.
But Ray took him off. What I'm saying is, it's not a discredit to take Pippen off the list, but it's just guys who did the small forward position greater than him.
That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying.
Here's the thing:
they overrated him way too high. I've been doing.
Stop it.
He's number 5.
The reason I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you exactly why I don't have Kevin Durant on there. Because before Kevin Durant went to Golden State, he was 0 for 1 in the finals, and he went to a team that already won.
So by your logic, finals is the only thing we're measuring by. That's all you're telling me. Because you're talking
about a part of it, though. That's why Elgin Baylor.
Is that the only argument? But honestly, is that the only argument you can make about Kevin Durant? Is the finals? You forget his scoring championship. You forget his MVPs. You forget him making that relevant. You're forgetting all of that.
He lost an NBA Finals, and he lost to a team he was up 3-1 on as the number 1. Now, if he goes to Brooklyn and he goes and wins a championship or 2, it's a different conversation.
I'm not hearing any of that because Kevin Durant won the chips. If Carl's gonna shoot at me for saying that anyone will be number 2 next to Jordan, we're not about to play the if game with KD. The chips were won, and he was a key component of them championship teams. The end.
Right. No, it's the same thing I asked you in the comment section.
They didn't need him to win.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
People disagree with that. Ray knows right here. He'll tell you he disagrees.
So let me ask you this question about Kevin Durant. Why did they lose last year?
Because he tore his Achilles and
Thank you. So they didn't need him. But they didn't need him. You just said they didn't need him. But then last year he didn't play and they lost.
Excuse me. Kevin Durant had 2 Hall of Fame shooters who could pull from 30.
But again, I'm going back to what you just said. They lost last year. He tore his Achilles. He didn't play, and they lost.
If you have Kevin Durant on your team.
Again,
why did Kevin Durant go to Brooklyn then?
I'm not finished then. I'm not finished. Number 2, 2016, when Golden State lost, did they not go get Kevin Durant? And he was the best player.
Of course, anybody won.
And he was the best player.
They won a championship without him.
What are you talking about? He was the best player.
They won the year before. I don't know why they lost 3-1. Why they gave Philly 3-1.
But the fact of the matter
is they won a championship.
I can't talk to him. He's not listening. He's not listening to me. Talk to him.
So, excuse me, executive producer. Why did Kevin Durant go to Brooklyn? Because he enjoys potholes and shitty weather? He went there because it wasn't his team. Because he wasn't number 1.
What do you mean?
Steph was number 1, bro.
What do you mean he wasn't number 1?
He was the finals MVP.
Even though he won 2 finals MVPs. Even though he won 2 finals MVPs.
Steph took a step back for Kevin Durant. How was he not number 1? He took a step back.
Well, why did he go to Brooklyn?
What are you talking
about? He just randomly chose New York City when he had great weather in San Francisco.
He felt that his chips weren't. He could say what he wants on the podcast, but he in his feelings, he believes that he has to prove it elsewhere to get his respect. That counts for something.
Exactly.
Okay, but besides the chips, what did Scottie Pippen do better than? What did he achieve better
than Kevin Durant? Nothing.
Nothing.
Not a damn thing. Nothing.
If Kevin Durant the defender that Scottie Pippen was, he's not asked to do those things. He's asked to score. He's asked to score. And I'm not saying he's not great at it. He's
how many small forwards is 50, 40, 90, bro? How many small was 50, 40, 90 all world? All galaxies. KD's all galaxy at the small forward position, bro.
I don't argue with that. I'm simply saying if you're gonna take Scottie Pippen off the list, if he wins a championship in Brooklyn this year or in the next couple of years, you get no arguments out of me. You can take Scottie Pippen right off.
That don't make you right.
You can't discount the guy who played in one of the hardest eras to play in, won 6 championships, 2 sets of 3-peats.
The 90s is overrated. We're not even gonna do that today. Like the
80s, it was the greatest
people keep
defensive time in
confusing
the 80s
of the league with the 90s. The 80s and the 90s are not the same. The 90s era of the NBA is arguably the weakest era of all time.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
I know you're watching this. Pull up all the numbers on the 90s, the weak 90s, to support what I'm saying right now. Stop conflating the 80s with the 90s. Stop doing that. It's not the same era of basketball. It's not.
What I'm saying,
I made every argument that I could. I don't know what else to say. Like this is beyond ridiculous. So now we're going after an era where they actually play defense.
Listen, we're not sitting here and disrespecting Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was great at what
you said it was the hard. You said it was one of the hardest, and it wasn't.
I don't know what to say. This I guess is another argument. I'm not saying people are disrespecting him. I'm simply saying let's speak facts. How does a guy who was part of 6 championship teams, and there was no free agent era and all that other stuff, how is that guy taken off for a guy who went to a team that already won a championship because it'd be easier to get one? That's all I'm saying. I'm not questioning Kevin Durant's talent. I'm saying if he wins one or two in Brooklyn,
that makes him better than a guy who has an MVP, 4-time scoring champion, and
before he went to Golden State, what was he in the NBA Finals?
You don't
and that was a pretty good Oklahoma City team.
Okay, all right. See, Jay, now you just chatting. You just chatting.
I'm not. I'm asking the question.
Who did they lose to, Jay? Jay, who did they lose to?
They lost to the Miami Heat.
So stop right there. Stop. They lost to an iconic team, bro. Knock it off.
You act like they lost their bones.
He can't accept it. Are you willing to accept it right now? That are you willing to accept Kevin Durant's better than Pippen?
Offensively, absolutely.
No, not offensively.
Kevin Durant is not the defender that Scottie Pippen was.
So you're saying that Scottie Pippen's better than Kevin Durant?
On the defensive end, yes.
No, I'm not talking about defense. I'm asking I'm asking overall. Overall, Scottie Pippen to Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
So then what's the point?
Y'all, because you're taking. I gave you offense, and I said he was better on defense, and it was like, no, is he better overall? He's not better overall. He's a better offensive player.
Who's taking to start your team?
So what's the point of basketball? Is the point of basketball to put the ball in the basket?
Yes, there's also an other end of the court. Thank you very much.
Okay,
that.
So wait. So KD's not a good defender now?
Ridiculous statement on your part.
You know why Kevin Durant had him as a rim protector, bro, and he did a hell of a job doing that.
Man. Come on.
Y'all are wilding out here, man. I don't understand.
What are we wilding about, bro? You just admitted that Kevin Durant is better. But then he's not on the Mount Rushmore.
Better offensive player than Scottie Pippen. Of course,
that's not what he just said.
But Kevin Durant didn't win anything until he went to a team that already won. What are y'all missing?
You know what you're doing right now? You showing your hand. I'm
not showing my hand.
Is that he went to Golden State and he didn't win a championship because you was about to say he didn't win anything. So in your mind, you're saying that he has 0 rings and he's done nothing. That's what you're saying to me right now. That's what I'm hearing.
Is winning not part of this? If LeBron James goes to, now they won a championship, congratulations to your LA Lakers. If LeBron James went to LA and didn't win a championship, would you be happy with just being a part of the festivities? Would you? We made the finals, so that's okay. Of course not.
So Kevin Durant went to the finals with Golden State.
Kevin Durant won
the championship.
Twice.
And won 2 finals.
Team that already won a championship.
Was already considered one of the greatest small forwards. Before he won the championship, he was already on everybody's list as one of the greatest small forwards ever.
When LeBron came to LA, were they winning championships? Or did they need him? Just like when he went to Miami, they needed him. Golden State already won a championship. Had already won.
Golden State was wait. All right, you're right. You're absolutely right. So that means that Golden State was the defending champion, so KD got there.
No, they went to a second finals and they lost. Why they lost, I have no idea.
They lost. So they weren't
and then they got Kevin Durant, and then they went he's the best player.
Team flew to the East Coast to meet with Kevin Durant. Just felt like meeting with him. No,
am I arguing that Kevin Durant isn't
That's not
good?
What happened.
I'm simply saying, for me, a guy who won a pair of championships with a franchise that had already won. Of course, adding Kevin Durant makes you unstoppable. I mean, hell, the last time
you outplay the greatest player. Some people who say is the greatest player of all time in consecutive finals decisively. That's not enough.
Yeah,
he didn't beat Detlef Schrempf.
I think
he beat LeBron James.
In this group can agree when this happened. when he went to Golden State, everybody in this group agreed.
He beat LeBron James
and complained and said this shit is not fair. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he went to Golden State.
So what? They complained. What did the basketball say? They won.
The basketball says that they were a good team. They were a very good team, but they went 7-3-9 without him.
So you have a problem with someone going to another team to win championships and not sticking with their team. So we're playing the loyalty card here.
So why's LeBron on your list, Jay?
Thank you. That was my next point. That was nice.
Because
setup.
LeBron James because there's only two guys who are asked to do everything on the court. Scottie Pippen and LeBron James. Kevin Durant is not asked to do all those things.
He dropped 25 a game. He wasn't
so KD going to a Seattle. So let's take it there. So KD going to a Sonics team that was hot garbage.
Yes.
And transforming that organization all the way through Oklahoma City is nothing.
To a winning culture.
In the Western Conference, that didn't happen.
He
was the face of that.
He went to the team he was up 3-1 on. Come on now.
And who did they lose to? Wait, I got you now. Now I got you. You said he was up 3-1. And they lost to what team? The team that you said was one of the greatest teams of all time, Jay. You can't have both. You cannot have both.
They were up 3-1 on that team. And
who did they lose to, Jay?
Join that team.
Who did they lose to? The team that you said did not need him.
Complained endlessly. How could Kevin Durant do this? There's no parity in the NBA. Blah, blah, blah.
And now is Golden State bad? I don't understand. You saying they were up 3-1, but then you saying they don't need Kevin Durant? I don't understand. I'm confused, Jay. You're not making sense to me.
They already, of course, adding Kevin Durant makes you a great. They were already a great team.
They were up 3-1, but so Golden State
lost.
So you're saying that Golden State wasn't better than this, or he was up 3-1, but now you mad he went over there, but they lost to the Cavaliers.
I'm saying it's a part of the entire story.
Clearly, they needed Kevin Durant because they couldn't get it done with Harrison
Golden
Barnes
State
playing that position. What are you talking about?
According to NBA fans, Golden State struggled with elite talent, right? They struggled against Westbrook and KD. They struggled against Kyrie and LeBron. So obviously they needed KD, right?
Who they beat, right? Down 3-1.
Overall, guys, final thoughts, Jay Lex. Final thoughts here on the remix.
The remix, Larry Bird clearly should have been on there. Let's not fool ourselves here. But my mind has not been changed. The reality is, Bron 1, Larry 2, Scottie 3, Irving 4.
Ray.
Okay.
Man, I've been dealing with Scottie Pippen fans for all my life, man. He's a great player.
Judith.
Larry, can I talk? Thank you. You know, he's a player.
My final 4 minutes, I don't know, like.
They overrate him too much. But I would have heard on my list, but I really didn't have an issue with the video.
Ray, what are your thoughts? Final thoughts here to close out.
What happened? You said Ray, and then I started talking, but he was talking to the commissioner.
Sorry.
See?
Yeah, I'm talking to the commissioner. I'm sorry. Ray Jaw.
My bad, commish. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jaw.
Long story short, if the Mount Rushmore was 5 players or 5 people, Pippen would be up there. He just missed the cut. You know what I mean? He's still in the club. He in VIP, but he don't have any bottles. That's all. It's fine.
And my final thoughts, my list: Bron, Larry, KD, and Dr. J. That's how it's supposed to be. That's
so. What's the 4? But Carl, what's the 4, bro?
That is my 4: LeBron, Larry, KD, and Dr. J.
So we're not picking one each per person.
My pick. Larry. Hands down. Larry, no question. Larry goes on.
Jay, what you got?
Larry goes on, of course.
No, you pick out of your 4. Out of your 4, who you picking out of your 4? I picked Larry out of my 4.
I'm gonna pick Bron.
You didn't even pick Scottie Pippen.
He's still on my list. I don't know what y'all going crazy over. What are y'all going crazy over?
Fine. That's it.
Pick Bron. Come on.
He didn't pick him. That's it. Fine.
Kevin Durant. I got KD.
Okay, KD. Ray? Dr. J. That's how it's supposed to be. So this is the ultimate list. So Pippen doesn't even make it, right?
According to y'all.
No, you had a chance to pick Pippen.
You know what? I take it back. You know what? Pippen,
no, there's no take back.
Pippen. Enough. I'm tired of y'all, man. I'm tired of y'all, man. Pippen. Put him right on there. I'm tired of y'all, man.
Oh, my God.
You know what? Larry comes off. How about that? Larry comes off. Messing around. Get out of here, man.
Whose man's is this?
He's our guy. We love him. We love him, though, man. I needed this laugh.
Y'all, man.
Yo, I needed this laugh. This was fun. This was better than the first edition that they messed up. So for those who didn't see the first edition, they messed it up. You can see my opening monologue. I'm not going to repeat it again. Don't ever disrespect Larry Bird again. For those out there, Ricardo
you that laugh after that 10-minute monologue.
Listen, I know. listen, Ricardo Etienne, Brandon Falco, Andres Rivas, Anthony Mullen. Don't ever in your life disrespect Larry Bird again. Carl Coulage for the Sports Hitters by the fans and for the fans. Please make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out the Gray Area podcast. I'll see you guys next week. We have episode 4 of the Mount Rushmore series coming later this week. The shooting guard position. It's all hands on deck for that one. We'll see what they come up with, and I'll talk to you guys soon.